start, and we'll do a half an hour show whenever you tell me.
Okay. All right. So we're just going to wait and see if she joins. Okay. Let's do it that way.
Well, she's on, but we won't wait for her to.
Oh, can we hear her audio?
Can you? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
We can.
Yep. Great.
Okay.
So we're ready to start.
Okay.
You can leave the timer right where it is. Just start the show, and
Okay.
as soon as you accept it, you let me know.
Okay. Good. Here we go. When it says on the air, you're on the air.
Welcome to Talking Peace with the Western New York Peace Center, being recorded at Think Twice Radio in the home of the future, also the home of our friend and producer, Richard Wicca. And thank you to our friends at WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative radio station, coming out of Buffalo State University. We thank you, Greg Harvey, Brian Harrell, and all of our friends at Buff State. We're so grateful. And when I think of gratitude, I think of our Indigenous friends and formerly enslaved people from formerly enslaved people. People who just know that gratitude, no matter how many things have been so wrong, how many injustices have been done, how much pain or suffering there has been, there's still so much reason for gratitude just in this world, in just finding those things to be grateful for. And so I want to acknowledge that we're on stolen Haudenosaunee land, taken through trickery and violence and lies, and yet the Haudenosaunee and the Seneca, Onondaga, the Tuscarora, all of the nations in the Seneca, in the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, start all of their events off with a Ganonyo. And so I'm so grateful for that. I'm grateful for our topic of our show. I'm grateful that Jill Claus is here, and who is the Turtle Mama. Jill, welcome.
Yes.
And Faustenia L. Morrow, who is the founder and creator of the Monarch of Infinite Possibilities, founder and principal.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you, Vicki. I'm so honored to be here tonight.
And actually, Jill, if you could just do us the most abbreviated Ganonyo that you've ever done. I know you don't do it very short the way I do, but if you can make it very short, because this is going to be a short show, but it's so important, and we're so grateful for all we learned from our Indigenous and all of our brothers and sisters, especially the more they've suffered, the more they've learned. So, Jill.
Yes, I will. We just bringing our hearts and our minds together as one to give thanks for each other, the people, our ancestors, all the way back to the beginning of time, so that we may be here today as we stand on the shoulders of our ancestors. We give thanks to our Mother, the Earth, that has provided all life to us all of the waters, all of the fish, the plants, the trees, the food, the medicines. And we give thanks to the leader of the plant, the trees, the maple tree, and we raise our eyes up through creation. We continue to give thanks for the animals, and the leader of the animals is the deer. We give thanks for the birds. The leader of the birds is the eagle. We give thanks to the four protectors, the four winds, the thunder beings. We give thanks to them because they are a relative, and they're so powerful. They live behind Niagara Falls. And we bring our hearts and our minds together as one to give thanks to the sun, our elder brother, who is always there giving life and energy to us, and Grandma Moon, ever watching the unborn children and unborn cycles of the women and all of her great power. And we give thanks to the stars that guide and protect us, and continue to give thanks to the enlightened teachers that have reminded us that we are peaceful people and that we have been brought here to this world to be peaceful people. And finally, in the heavens, we give thanks to all of the Creator, all of existence. And as we bring our hearts and our minds together as one to give thanks in this way.
So you would say Yahweh, right?
Daneto, yeah. Ona Hesnet. Yep,
And then
all done.
you should say either Nyo or Jet. So
Yeah,
Nyo.
yes, yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So and I am so grateful. I'm so grateful to have the two of you here, and also Dr. Beverly Newkirk of the phenomenal women, phenomenal ladies of rhythm. Also, she's the principal and founder, or the executive director and founder of It Takes a Village Action Organization. So she and all of us are really celebrating no wonder I'm embarrassed to say it, Victorious Women's Month. So, it's Victorious Women's Month. Deidre Email, our former executive director, longtime activist, wonderful woman that she is. We love and miss Deidre. I don't see her nearly as often as I used to, and that's really a shame. But anyway, she got us started on using Victorious Women's Month of May as the time to do our Women's March and to really focus on women. March is fine. The month of March has International Women's Day, and we're grateful for that. And of course, the Women's Month started in reaction to He Who Shall Not Be Named in January. And so we've done many a march in the wind, in the cold, in the snow, in the 65-mile-an-hour gale force winds, but we don't have to do that this time. So instead, we celebrate in Victorious Women's Month. And so, if we just go around quickly on what are the values you think of when you think of celebrating Victorious Women's Month, and we'll start with Jill, and then Faustenia. So we'll go around as the Haudenosaunee do counterclockwise. So,
okay. Well, for me, most inspiring women, I mean, first off, I have to go with Mother Earth and her constant giving of her children, constantly looking after us in a way that, unfortunately, ungrateful children sometimes disrespect our mother, and I think that's another conversation. I think it's the root of domestic violence. But my next one would be Grandma Moon, because she looks after the babies because the children are coming. So we have I have a relationship with our grandmother the Moon, and I love and conversate with her quite often. Before I had children, and including to this day. And then the third one would be Audrey Shenandoah of the Onondaga Nation Eel Clan. She was the first woman to speak as a clan mother at the United Nations, addressing the United Nations, I believe it was in 1973. 75. Well, anyways, she spoke there, and her speech is historic. So, as in a nutshell, I loved her journey, her path, her presence, and what she has done to make a big splash into the future.
Awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah, those are wonderful women. Now, and also as far as principles, what are the principles? So you talked about, that principle as you talked about standing up for people, or providing for people, all those things I hear you saying. Are those, those are some of the principles. Are they those are the principles you think of? And the women who are doing those things.
In leadership, I mean, we're natural leaders. That's, to me, we embody the idea of what it means to care, because we give life we have been blessed with the gift to give life, and that is a sacred. We own it, right?
Yes,
So yeah, that would be our natural leadership.
that's so beautiful. And Faustenia?
Yeah, I love what you said, Joe. If I was to acknowledge what I call sheroes in my life,
Mhm.
I would first start with Fannie Lou Hamer.
Oh, yes.
Oh my
Oh,
God, because she was a fighter's fighter. And I love when she said, you know what? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And when you
right.
think about that, I mean, what level of tiredness do you have to get to when you say, you know what? I'm throwing it all to the wind and I'm letting you know we're not taking it no more, right?
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
so Fannie Lou
Right.
Hamer comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
The second that I would mention would be Shirley Chisholm, the Honorable
Oh, yes.
Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, because, historically, we all lean into her. Even with my company, I say that I bring everyone to the table so that they can take from the table what they need. And with Shirley Chisholm, she said, you know what? Oh, you don't want me to have a seat at this table? I will bring a folding chair. And
Right.
so she reminds me that as women we are creative, we
Mm-hmm.
are resilient, and
Mm-hmm.
we won't let anything stop us. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
if you think you're holding us back, all you're really doing is opening up the door for innovation, because who would think to bring a folding chair to the table, right?
Yeah, that's
And
good.
then the
Beautiful.
third, I would say, and probably my number one would be Harriet Tubman,
Oh.
because she followed the North Star. And really, when you talk about leadership, I often call her Mother Harriet, Mama
Uh.
Harriet.
Right.
She let people know, we're going forward. We're not stopping. We're not looking back. Wherever you came from, it may not be working the way you thought it was going to work, but we are going forward because we got to get somewhere. So we don't have time. So for me, there's this unwavering, I would call it, grace that all of those women bring in many different ways. And what they've done is open the door for women like us. And so those would be the
Mm-hmm.
women
Mm.
I would highlight and the values that I hold true.
Oh,
Beautiful.
yeah, I love them. And thank you. I just learned about Hammer. I did not know about her.
Wonderful.
Oh,
Fannie
boy.
Lou? Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Um, I wanted to bring out a woman who is in the future. She's a young woman. She's a young leader, and her name is Janelle Beauvais.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
yeah, phenomenal woman. She has already internationally spoken. She's consistently on the world stage as far as leading Indigenous voice
Mm.
for telling the truth. For the flavor of the ice cream, she's
Right.
what I call her my clan mother, and she's only in her 30s. It's just
So what you're making me think of, I'm always mentioning when we're talking about these principles or, it's funny because we use that word principle, and I'm talking about like ideas and ways of behaving or thinking of things or
mhm,
ways of
mhm,
doing concepts, right?
yeah.
And but also and Faustenia, you're not the only person to do this, but with the Monarch of Infinite Possibilities, you call yourself the principal, not the director or the executive director, none of that. So I want to say, as you're mentioning these women and they embody these principles, and it makes me think of truth and love because every person that you've mentioned, they are all speaking truth to power. I am sick of tired of being sick and tired, making things happen. And Mother Earth, I mean, there's no there. And when they say it's not nice to fool Mother Nature, there is no Mother Nature because the Earth, there knows what's happening, the things that are happening. There's no cosmetics about it. There's no fighting, uh, fighting it. Well, there's fighting it, but there's no denying what
Mhm.
is being done and happening. or the beauty of what's happening, also the beauty that Mother Earth is creating. And back to the love, which is, as you said, love is the generator of life. Love is the motivator of life. Love is what makes the world go round, is what they say. But it is. And so that is what motivates all of these women and all of us in our work. And I want to say, I'm thinking of so many women, and you two are two of them, that are that are filled with truth and love. And when you see, now there are men who are peacemakers and wonderful activists. Yes, there are. There's plenty of them, lots of them. But there's a lot of women, and usually they are the unsung heroes. So they might be 10 women behind the one man who's out in front, who gets the speaking engagement, gets the credit, gets the whatever. But the women, when you look and see an activist organization, who do you see? Usually you see a bunch of women. And the other thing I think of is the issues that women work on. So we have the Women's March coming right up. And there'll be a lot of concentration on women and our needs, because as true to form, we put them behind all the time. Don't worry about them. But back to, why are women always talking about the needs of the community? Because this is the people we love, our family, our sons and daughters, our friends and family, our spouses, our partners, our parents, our neighbors, and so all those issues that affect all those people are our issues, so go ahead.
And I think also, as you're talking, I'm thinking about the fact that we are the life givers, right? That life passes through our womb. Men can't do that, right? Life passes through the womb of the woman. And in that pain, when she births life, she has to be concerned about it. Because you think about anything that you steward, anything that you are in charge of, you can't just abandon it, right? There's something innate inside of us as women that we've got to do something to save it. Even if we think we're doing something small, we can't let it go, because we carry life, the life source. And I think, it's probably the echoes of our ancestors all the way back to the first mother, who said, wait a minute, hold on. I hear my baby crying, I got to go. I hear my baby crying, I got to go.
Well, actually, what I have to say, as a woman who is not a mother, so I'm not a mother, I'm not a grandmother, I'm not going to be any of those things. But what you're saying is so true, because it's about who we are. So I loved it at Lincoln Memorial on Mother's Day. It was very much said, for the mothers, for the spiritual mothers, for the people who are mothering people, and even for the men who are mothering people.
That's right. That's right.
Mothers caring for people. It's that loving, nurturing thing, the nurturing parent, and that is about life. That is about love. Jill?
Oh, just thinking that love is a courageous act, a conscious decision. That love is, it's been something that has, it touches your heart. We all have a heart. We all have that piece inside of us that, it's up to us how we share it, learn about it. The only way we're gonna I was listening to my uncle talk, and he was my elder, my spiritual teacher, and one thing he did say is the trees are a good example of how they hold this planet together. It doesn't matter who their neighbor is, they're all connected, and they're all connected around the whole earth. So we have to thank the trees. We need to honestly acknowledge the trees and how they work together. Yeah, different together, strong, all part of the same love that you talk about. that whole evolution of who we are as humans on this earth, the whole idea that, we all should live in a peaceful world. This is our right as a human. And it's getting so outdated to see. I mean, I just love seeing they're making fun of the billionaires, right? And they're saying, yeah, they live right out there in Mandahi, or what's his name? From the mayor from New York. He goes, yeah, that one up there, he lives there, and he made an example of him, saying he should pay his taxes, because he has, yeah, and it's becoming more embarrassing, right? That 1% is becoming a target now, and they're trying to say it was billionaire racism. Can you believe that?
Well, right. Well, a lot of problems there. Faustenia?
Well, Jill, when you mentioned the trees, I am learning more than ever because I'm working on some tree projects. And what I didn't know about trees, because one of my favorite books was The Giving Tree, which talks about how the tree just gives and gives and gives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even down to when you cut the tree down, it can be some place for you to sit and rest. And what I didn't know about trees until recently is that there is an underground network, no pun intended. There is an underground network that when a tree is dying, something in the roots, they connect and they say, we need to send water over there. I was like, wait, doesn't that make sense? And then when a tree is hurting or something, they lean in to cover. I said, my goodness, if the nature, like naturally, the God we serve makes sure that everything is taken care of. Now, I'm an old school Pentecostal, and growing up in the church, there was a gospel song that I learned where they would talk about the sparrow, that God's eye is even on the sparrow, because, that God is watching you and taking care of you. So when you talk about that agape love, that unconditional love, that love that surpasses all understanding, it is just amazing that no matter what, we can tap into that.
So it's just so beautiful. I've also been learning and done some study on that about what the trees. In fact, I had a real peak experience with trees in Cuba, with a ceiba tree where
Tell us.
Yes. I love to tell this story. I probably told it on the show before. The ceiba tree is one of the two sacred trees. They say one of the two main, most sacred trees in Cuba, the royal palm and the ceiba. And if you go it, you will see beautiful, magnificent pictures of these trees. Some of them look a little bit like a banyan or people, but they're their own tree. They come from Africa, and so then there's a law. They're often in the town square, and there's a law. You're not allowed to cut down a ceiba tree ever. And so what they do when they have something to work out for the community, they'll all sit down under the tree and work it out with their town meeting type of community gathering discussion. And if people are having a fight, they will take the person and the two people who are fighting and put their arms around the tree on either side of the tree, so that they're both tied on with the tree in between them. And they're big trees, big trunk like that, and they're tied like that. And so I'm there and I'm thinking, well, why don't I just went up to a ceiba tree and I hugged it, and I felt all the life for this couple hundred years that this tree has been growing. I could feel all that life running through me in a way that I will never forget. And there was no other influence, just by the way. There was no other or anything else going on. It was total. It was the most, it was a peak experience of my life. It was beyond description. And so the trees, that the way they share, that was not known, but it has become known. how they communicate, how they cooperate. And it makes me think of a book. Did I mention this to you? I think I did when we were talking before the show about games your mother never taught you. Or maybe I was talking to somebody else. No, it was somebody else. So there's a book, I think it might have been Betty Friedan, but whoever wrote it, Games Your Mother Never Taught You. So they say the military and the chain of command, women didn't learn that usually. Although, there are women in the military who learn it and everything. And also the team sports and like stay in your lane and all that. No, what we've learned is communicating and cooperating, that networking, that sharing the resources, the taking turns. That's what women have learned. And that is why we used to do an event that we called Women's Ways, Peace Ways, because we're just geared to that. Plus, we don't have, pardon me when I say, testosterone poisoning. It's not their fault. Men go into fight more naturally because of testosterone. And then that's really exacerbated by our social habits, mores, and teachings, and misguided teachings, let's say. So it just makes me think of those. So let's go around on that.
Do you want to go there at 7:30? It's a half an hour.
You know what? My brother. So there's something. My brother is all right now. He already went. So there's a thing for me to do except finish the show and then go meet him there.
Okay.
Okay. So we're cool to.
If you both can stick around, we can finish the show because it doesn't make any difference at this point. So yeah. So just a sidebar.
Okay. All right. That was
You just never know what's going to happen next. That's all I know. So so that's why I was doing a little bit of texting to try and figure out, family, family first, yeah. So
well, and it just speaks to, as women, always taking care of everyone.
right.
When you're taking care, you're still taking care of everyone. Like branches on the tree, we can do, a multiplicity of things and still be taking care of the taking care of the taking care of everyone.
I think, and a lot of it has to do with keeping being enjoying our work together, doing this work together, and enjoying it.
Well, absolutely, because relationship, back to truth and love, and especially love. It's just caring about people, wanting to connect with people, working with people, deepening those relationships. When they say activism is all about relationship, absolutely. Because you build the relationships and then you want to help each other, help each other.
My elder, he talked about the Creator's love is water. And that idea that is for everyone without condition, good, bad, ugly, whatever. It's all in how we treat it. And he just said that's how we know the Creator loves us, is because we have water.
Well, Amy Wachoni, water is life.
Water is life. Yes. And that's something, just a sidebar, water is so important to me. And what I've learned is that when I need to think something through, I go take a walk by the water or take a shower in the water as it hits my body, or even if I'm in a bath, as I'm immersed in water, all of a sudden everything becomes clear. And so I have learned that water is like my source. Because there's something about taking a walk along the water. But I definitely would be remiss if I didn't mention, as you were talking about love, Vicki, I'm thinking about, Dr. King and how he said, hate cannot drive out hate.
Exactly.
Only love can do that. And in addition, I know we spend a lot of time talking about Dr. King, but recently I've been zeroing in on Coretta Scott King, his wife, because she was the one who,
Oh,
you know,
yes.
when she died, she had to carry the load. And it really is her and many of the women behind the scenes that really, you know, carried so much weight to make things happen. And when you think about the evilness and the hatred that's being spewed now, the only way we're going to really combat it is this next level of love, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah, yeah.
Right.
even though I wasn't there and I look back on, you know, the history of things, when I think about all the fights that Fannie Lou Hamer and other elders had to go through, they could have met, you know, fire with fire, but
Mm-hmm.
there's something stronger when you meet fire with love. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
can fight with that. How can you fight with love when you're screaming at me and you're trying to invoke something and I don't respond? I don't fall for that, but I give you love. What can you do with that other than to say, wait a minute, I got to
Right.
do something else?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's transforming power of love.
Mm.
Transforming
Mm-hmm.
power of love. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Transforming. Mhm.
and I want to mention, you know, for those who don't know that, you know, one of the things that we do on, well, now during Victorious Women's Month, or we've done it actually different times of year. We've done it in October, January, March, and May, Victorious Women's Month, of the Women's March. And what I want to say, you know, so there'll be wonderful, phenomenal women, and that includes phenomenal ladies of rhythm, but and with a wonderful singer as well, that is Lynn Teresa Atkinson is going to be singing. Lynn Teresa, and when you hear her, you will see why. She's just
Mm.
amazing. We also, speaking of amazing singers, we have Fragrance of Yah, and she will be singing. And
Oh,
and
wonderful.
and she is such a wonderful, such a strong woman who has gone through so much. We were just talking about, you know, here we're taping this on May 13th, and tomorrow, of course, is 4 years since the massacre.
Mm-hmm.
And she was there. She was there with her daughter. Just imagine being there with your child. She even got separated. Child means your grown child. You know, her daughter, they were both working at Tops at the time. So she has been through a lot, and so many women have been. I mean, that is just off the charts for trauma. And so many women have experienced trauma and still find that way of, back to what we said, of being the concern for other people, the caring, the making things happen to make things better for other people. And so the Women's March will be both Jill, the Turtle Mama Claus is going to be opening us up with the Ganonio, and Faustenia El Morrow. We are so excited that you're going to be speaking as well. We have a number of women speaking, and then we're going to walk. We're starting in. It's on Saturday, the 16th, and for those of you who are hearing this on the Monday, you can probably see some. So there might be some live streaming of it that's still on some of the social media or things like that. But it's about the ideas that are so important. So those will be shared by people who are speaking. But then we're going to walk in silence to Lafayette Square and the public library because of the power that silence has. In fact, makes me think of Women in Black, which started with women in Israel and Palestine, Jewish and Muslim women joining together, dressing in mourning in black, and then standing in silent vigil on street corners with signs about begging to stop the violence, which, of course, unfortunately, is far from what's happened. But it's still going on, and it's going on worldwide. Women in Black, we have one of those at every noon, Saturday noon at Bidwell and Elmwood. So people can still go to that this Saturday, but then come out on the 16th. You can go Saturday the 16th to Niagara Square from 2 to 4. And then once we're up there, we'll have Phenomenal Ladies of Rhythm. We'll have the Singing Resistance, and we'll sing on our way back. And then we'll hear Fragrance. So that's the plan for Saturday, the May 16th. And so that's really going to be exciting.
And it starts at what time? And
PM.
it starts at 2 p.m. And where at
Niagara Square. So we'll
Niagara Square is okay. Yes.
Start and end at Niagara Square, which Niagara Square is in front of City Hall.
Yes.
I know there was a time when people are pretty good now on knowing which square is which, a little bit more than used to be, because there have been so many vigils and rallies and marches and things in these later years, these last 10 years. That's really when things started to get on a whole nother level, and all the polarization, I guess I'd say, the difference between what we need and what we see, what we get, has been getting bigger and bigger. So anyway, so it's the one in front of City Hall, and we'll be on the east side of that monument. You'll see where we are when we're there.
I feel like it's going to be a great day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and weather will be with us too, by the way.
Ooh.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah.
I do want to say,
But it should be good.
Do you have a flyer you can show?
Do I? Well, if you keep it going, I do have a flyer.
Awesome. I did want to say, I love the idea of walking in silence, because oftentimes, in order to get something done, you got many people talking, right? And many messages flowing. But there's something about taking a moment to sit in silence, to reflect, to allow everything to kind of come to a halt, or as in the Bible, they say, Selah, to pause, and just sit in that moment and hear.
For those of you this is the flyer. So I don't know, maybe people might need to look at it with a mirror, or maybe by the time
I can read it right.
Itself, you can see it.
Yeah.
You can see it.
Yes. It looks clear too.
It looks really nice.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Is there a semblance? Is there some semblance to the photos and the colors?
No, not that I know of. I mean, I've always liked purple, because I've heard that the red purple and the blue purple are where the energy comes together on a color wheel, on the rainbow. That's where the energy comes together, the red purple and the blue purple. Okay. And then it's just different. It's just meant to be different looking women, women.
Not to mention purple is royalty. So.
And races. And then it just says, well, it's the Gender Justice Task Force of the Western New York Peace Center. They did the organizing. So shout out to Ruth Kane. She has rocked it. And in a very short period, because she only just she revived the Gender Justice Task Force. But anyway, and it says everything that we've already talked about, May 16th, 2 to 4 p.m. March starts in Niagara Square. Rights, justice, action. End sexist exploitation and oppression. Demand health care, autonomy, and economic parity. So it's about women's issues, but also I always think of this wonderful book I read called Hood Feminism. And that's where they said just what I always thought and what we've always done with the Women's March, which is, yes, there's a focus on women, or people who identify, women, trans women, any women. But the focus is also on all of our needs because of what we just said. Because women, as women, we care about everybody else's needs. So the women's needs, so hood feminism means housing, nutrition, clean air, all of that.
Yeah.
stop the war economy, put the money and the effort, the time and effort and resources into people's needs, funding people's needs, not Fear Inc. That is hood feminism. Don't put, all the money into the policing. Put it into the community center, put it into the youth programs, put it into the preventive things that stop the problems, prevent the problems. Anyway.
Well, good stuff. That's the future.
Yes, that's what we need. And I want to say, I just want to shout out for Jill as a turtle mama. You're not just a turtle mama, you're also a mama and even a grandmama now. But I want to say your daughters, there are shows, by the way, there are shows on the Western New York Peace Center YouTube channel that includes Quinna, at least one or two shows that Quinna was on, your oldest daughter. We also have a show with you with your spiritual teacher on. Do you remember that one?
Really?
Yes. Don't you remember? We had trouble with the connectivity. You had to hide you had to try and do it in the laundry room or something.
Oh my gosh.
We kept, there were some problems with the sound and stuff. However, everyone agreed that what you and your teacher had to share was just so beautiful that it was very important. So if you look back, if you go to the Western New York Peace Center's YouTube channel, there's two of them. One that we've lost control of, don't have the passcode and it's out of date, but the newer one has all kinds of talking peace episodes on it, including that one that I'm talking about. With your teacher.
You'll have to look at it, yeah.
Have to, yeah. But anyway, so our mothers, and I just think of my mother. My mother was such a strong woman. She was a very quiet woman. She was a very peace-oriented woman. She was, my dad and her were very sort of gender typical. He was all about justice and integrity and this and that. She was all about, keeping people happy and people getting along, making peace, but she was the one who, when my older sister, our older sister, I have two younger siblings, but my older sister couldn't walk from birth. It was a birth injury. And she was the one, she was worried about him because he had a really hard time. Our dad, who was very strong and, he was an activist. He was a firebrand, in Nazi Germany. That's why he had to leave so early. But, he had a really, really hard time dealing with that, where our mom, she had that emotional equilibrium and that emotional strength where it didn't rock her the way it rocked him. And back to women, that we're not that we're not allowed to be upset or something, but, women have that strength because we have to care for other people.
Well, that's what it comes down to. We come to this life, right, with an agreement that we're going to breathe, take a little,
right,
and give a little.
Right.
And some people are taking more than they need to. They're breaking the natural law. So right. Dealing with greed, I think, is one of the biggest things because there's enough for everybody. There's enough food, there's enough water, enough land, there's enough for everybody. But some people take more than they should, and the idea that when the colonists came to this country, we were like, yeah, come on, there's enough here for everybody. And they came with the mentality of, I think personally, like a 7-year-old boy.
Right.
Yeah, and the idea that they're very aggressive. They throw fits. They take more than they should. And we were making treaties with them, as already understood the idea that there's enough for everybody, making complete treaties with children.
Mm-hmm.
And that I'm not sure how this could ever get addressed, or if there's some way that we could talk about, growing up. You can't take more than you need. You've done a terrible job at taking care of the water, land, and your people. I feel as an Indigenous person, and having made agreements with the Republic, that they dropped the ball and they're doing a terrible job.
Oh, you're not kidding.
I want to retalk this agreement.
Right.
Because I don't think it's a good one.
No.
So that's.
Yeah. No, you're right. Well, you're Faustenia. I want to hear your reaction because it's making me think of something I want to share too. But
okay. I mean, for me, what I realize is that I think we need to get back to personal responsibility and recognizing, like you said, Jill, I mean, there's enough for everybody. There's something about creating fear and scarcity that causes people to get all worked up and hesitant. And a lot of it is made up. It's made up in order to create some false sense when if I watched my grandmother. So you were talking about your parents, Vicki, and God rest her soul. My grandmother passed away last year at 96. My grandmother was 4'11", but you would have thought she was 7 feet tall. Little girl from DeWitt, Arkansas, who moved to Little Rock, Arkansas, and then they came to Buffalo because my grandpa, his uncle, lived here, and the Bethlehem Steel draw that many people came to Buffalo to partake in. But my grandmother, she literally could make $1 out of 15 cents. My grandmother, she could take a little of nothing and give to the entire block in Hamilton Park. My grandmother, she knew the names of everyone on her street. And as we would walk up and down her street in Hamlin Park, she'd say, "Oh, that's Mr. Hayes' house. That's Mrs. Smith's house." She had a sense of community in her that she poured out. And, I wish we could get back to some of that because with social media, and, I'm grateful for the platform we're on, so I'm not knocking it, but we need to communicate more and connect more because I think that that's one thing that's missing. And it's one thing to hide behind social media and technology and all of these things. But when we're face to face, talk about the treaties and, looking at how to reconnect and how to refigure things, somehow I think it's the spirit man in us because, my upbringing, we're encased in flesh, the spirit. But there's something about the spirit man that when we are face to face, we're connected. And all of a sudden, whatever is negative or whatever we feel like can't, be solved, we can come to an agreement of some sort. And really, if we hold each other accountable and look at personal responsibility.
We absolutely need to do that. And I'm going to say, actually, one of the things I did, I was just in New York City for a week, which was a great break. And one of the best things that I did, I was there, it was about the nuclear non-proliferation treaty that was being reviewed at the UN. But there were a lot of events around that, and it was very interesting. And it's so, but we won't veer into that topic. But I also went to the National Museum of the American Indian. That's what they call it. And one of the things, first of all, they had a lot of people I know that you all know, like Oren Lyons, who got the Lifetime Achievement Award from us, Onondaga, Faith Keeper. Tom Porter was in there. Rita Jacques was in there. They should have Chanel Beauvais in there. They'll have her in there next time. They might have even, I don't think they had her in there though yet. But anyway, so there's so many wonderful, wonderful Indigenous leaders and everything. But I'm getting a little off the point that I was going to make is what they said was like, oh, so here it is. It's right in New York City too. It's right by Battery Park, right down there, right? And they said, oh, that it seemed like that that the indigenous people thought that they were just being given these gifts. But here's the invaders, the settlers or invaders, who they said, "Oh, we're buying this with this." And since the indigenous people didn't have that concept of owning the land, they're all sharing the land. They're all living on the land. They're all sharing and living in community, not grabbing mine, and all that. And also I think about, I mean, the enslaved people and the amount of talk about generational wealth. So there's more recent parts of it and older parts of it about how it's been indigenous land and Black labor that built this, that is this country, that is this continent, that built up this country, and that has the people who have gotten the shaft, who were economically taken advantage of in all those ways. And so it's not about the sympathy vote or something. It's just about justice and equity and making things right when things have been wrong. Things have been wrong, and they are wrong. And you look around us. Look at Buffalo. It's very obvious. Look at the res. Why is the connectivity so lousy on the res? Right? Why do you have to jump through hoops to even get on the radio? But anyway. So there's so many different ways that we need to do better. And I just think of, anyway, so so now we're getting, I won't say we're getting low-ish on time. So I think if we can just do another go round about, like, what do you want people to take away from this discussion about celebrating women? Celebrating Victorious Women's Month, or what do you want people to take away? Jill, first. Yeah.
Well, my first idea, I mean, there's a couple of ideas that I've had. And of course I believe that we are metamorphosizing. When a caterpillar turns into a butterfly, we are going within ourselves, becoming, what is that, goose? We become goo, right? In the cocoon.
Right.
And at that moment, we can be any cell that we want to be. And we could be the feather, the wing, the eyes, the brain, the heart, the lungs. And right now we're finding our people, and we are going through it and becoming our brilliant selves, who we are becoming. I have 100% belief that we will find each other, and we will continue to evolve and grow like the beautiful trees that grow. Trees don't grow overnight. It takes many, many years, and it takes many, many efforts. So on that note, I'm just feel I give each other grace, and enjoy our beautiful selves as we evolve into these incredible butterflies that we are becoming, or however we metaphor, into the existence of, the Creator is within me. I am very blessed to be a part of the sacred four directions, and below me and above me and within me is the Creator. And those are the teachings that I have received, that we all are humans. We all have that quiet, deep inner self within us to visualize, this beautiful world that we want.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
All so true. Thank you so much, Jill. Yes. Can I call you Yaguaniste?
Yes.
She walks in beauty, which you do, and that is such a beautiful world. And as you describe it, and the changes that we are going through, that we will be going through. So, Faustenia.
Yeah, wow. Jill, that's beautiful, because I don't know if you know, but the symbol, the logo of my business is the monarch butterfly. So when you said that, I said, oh my goodness, amazing.
See?
Yeah. And the reason for the butterfly is because for the monarch, for my company, I help push people, out of, they're breaking the cocoon, and really it's an opportunity for them to become something even more beautiful, if you will, when they're in the chrysalis and then they're coming out and they're breaking forth and then they turn into this beautiful butterfly. So I often say that Monarch is in that synergy that's happening because from what I've seen, I call it like a light, but there's something that happens when you get in that chrysalis, right? That
Yeah.
helps the transforming, like the goo that you talked about, how that is transformed. And a lot of that is transforming by continuing to do whatever the work is. So, what I'm hoping to take away from the march on Saturday is that there will be a synergy of women coming together because we are, like the Bible says, all on one accord. And that is woman power and women coming together. And I'm sure there'll be some men or young men in the audience. And it'll be a chance for us to bring our energy together and be in one accord and synergize, hoping that we do something that my ancestors talk about, which is the Sankofa, where we're looking back to look forward. That Sankofa bird, when you see it, is looking back. But the reality is, we're bringing the ancestors with us forward because I'm excited to know that there are going to be young women in the audience who are, some of them are going to be introducing us. They are they're we call them the future, but they're the now.
Yeah.
They're the now.
That's right. That's right.
To have them there so that we can unleash our superpowers as women. Those 3 S's. We will have synergy. We'll remember the past through Sankofa, and then we'll, electrify our superpowers.
Ace.
And get the work to be done.
Well, I just got to say, I am so thrilled to have both of you here now on the show. For those of you who can make it to the Women's March on Saturday, the 16th, Saturday, from 2 to 4, starting in Niagara Square, then you'll really enjoy hearing from both of these wonderful, wonderful, strong, beautiful, inspiring women. And from others who are there. But we're so grateful to have you here now. So be here now. And we are here now. I'm so grateful to you both for so much, and for so much of what you do and are all the time. So all I can say is this is Talking Peace. And together we've been talking peace in truth and love. Yahweh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.